Production workers are out there 12 hours a day standing on concrete, no ergonomic mats, no stools, no chairs.
I see a lot of young guys come in and be treated unfairly.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The UAW just organized a battery plant in Tennessee, just outside of the GM plant in Spring Hill, where they already represent a few thousand workers. And this Ultium is a joint venture between GM and some foreign auto manufacturer. I can't recall. I think, or maybe it's LG. I think it's LG. So it's a joint venture between LG and GM. And in the GM contract, as well as in the other contracts, GM, Ford, and Stellantis, they were able to secure card check agreements in the contract that says, in any other of your, plants that you own or that you're in a joint venture with, you have to give us card check and the ability to come in to the National Master Agreement. And I think it's like it's 75% of the wages and benefits of the National Master Agreement, with the intent of getting them up to 100% in the next round of negotiations. I think that's it. I'm not totally sure. But I do know that, there have been articles about the new contract that Ultium sales workers are going to be working under. And the minimum wage in the plant, I think, is immediately going up to like $26 an hour. So, I mean, just a 35% raise immediately. Really life-changing amounts of money for these folks. And really excited for them. It's 1,000 workers in this battery manufacturing plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And the company voluntarily recognized them as they agreed to in the national contract with the UAW. And so here's a clip that the UAW put out after they got their voluntary recognition.
Our rules change on a day-to-day basis.
The rules can change overnight, and you just have to adapt to them.
Production workers are out there 12 hours a day standing on concrete, no ergonomic mats, no stools, no chairs.
I see a lot of young guys come in and be treated unfairly.
I think it's going to be big and very beneficial to everyone involved.
Just being unionized in general, we're able to reap the benefits as far as health care, our pay, and just overall having decency within the workplace. Not just for us, but for the future generation.
You're grouped together and you can stand up as one. That's the power of being a union. Instead of just one stick, you got several. You can't snap several sticks, but you can snap one.
We're coming together with a solid purpose. When we're all said and done, we're on the same path, and that's what I like. Solidarity.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Exciting clip there. The UAW always has good videos around their organizing campaigns. And they started off talking about the work rules and how they're always changing. And that's something that is really not covered enough by the media when we're talking about, unions or union campaigns or contract negotiations or things like this. They always focus on the raises, and it's good, right? I mean, these people are getting a 30% raise. I mean, that's good and that's huge, and people ought to know that. And people ought to know that a union can get you a 30% raise immediately, right? I mean, that's important. But also important is that under a union contract, management cannot arbitrarily change the conditions of your work. They cannot arbitrarily change the conditions under which you spend the majority of your waking life, for most of us, right? And if you don't work in a union workplace with a union contract, then you work in a place where your management can do that, where they can change anything and everything about the conditions of your work, where you spend the majority of your waking life for any reason or no reason at all to anything that they want. They can come in and they can say tomorrow, actually, instead of making $20 an hour, we just want to pay you $10. We only want to pay you $10 an hour. Your choices are to keep working here or to quit today and then try to find another job, which maybe you'll be able to find another job, but then you will also still be under those conditions where you have no say over what happens to you at work unless you are unless you are able to find a union job. And that's, it's so important, because I really do think that we as workers in the United States have just allowed ourselves to become acculturated to this idea that that's normal, it's natural, that I should be lorded over by my betters for the majority of the time that I'm conscious, that I should have no say over what happens the majority of the time that I'm conscious, and that's just the way that it is because I'm not good enough to be able to govern myself or to have a voice on the job. I'm just not good enough. I'm not smart enough. My coworkers aren't good enough. My coworkers are not smart enough. We need people better than us to lead us. And that's just not the case. That is just simply not the case. And the older you get and the more you get into rooms with people who are powerful and who are making decisions, the more you should realize that. Because as I get older, right? I'm not old. I'm still young. You know, I still think I'm very young, but I have gotten more and more experience, and I have been in more and more rooms over the last few years with people who have significant power over the lives of others. Significant power. And the more that I'm in the room with these people, it's not necessarily that I think that they're evil or they're bad or they're stupid or anything. It's just the more convinced I become that they are not any better than us. Seriously, the people who run our society are the exact same kinds of people as the ones at the bottom who are actually doing the work. It just so happens that the people at the top were able to get there. They're not any better than the rest of us. They're not any smarter than the rest of us. They're not any, they're the same kinds of people. And we should not allow them to run our lives without any sort of accountability or democratic control over the decisions that they make. We shouldn't give them carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. And so I was really glad to see the UAW put that in and emphasize that as the opening, as the opening thing. Right? That was the first thing that they mentioned, why we're unionizing, because we don't want to go into work every single day and something is different about the way that I work. And they're always changing these work rules. And I never know what I'm going to be doing when I come in. Now they're not going to have to deal with that anymore. And that's pretty freaking awesome, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. So shout out to the UAW for, getting that in the contract language and making this union victory successful. I think that's a huge win. You said over 1,000 workers, right? This is in, the clean energy sector where we're going to see more and more growth. We need to see those as good union jobs. And, to your broader point, though, I think in America, we love to talk about freedom and democracy and our rights. Don't tread on me. I see that a lot. Yeah. A lot around here. Don't tread on me.
Unless you're my boss.
Unless you're my boss, right? Yeah. I mean, we talk about freedom and democracy, but in the workplace, it's a dictatorship. Unless you have union power, unless you have some way of you and your coworkers coming together to negotiate collectively, right? It is a dictatorship in the workplace. And management can change what they want to change, when they want to change it, however they want to. And yeah, you either tough it out or you quit and go back out into the marketplace and hope the next situation isn't as bad. And so I also want to say on that note, if you are in one of those situations, I would encourage you to organize before you decide to quit. We've heard a lot over the last few years about the Great Resignation. I'm not sure if that's still really happening these days, but I do know that a lot of people get really frustrated with their jobs because most jobs suck. And because it is a dictatorship, like I described. And so if you are at that point where you're considering quitting your job, consider organizing your job. I really, really can't emphasize that enough, because in order to make things better in this country, we have to grow union power. We have to organize more workers. We have to have more workers in unions. The unions we have to be stronger and more militant. And the folks who are already in unions have to step up their involvement in the unions to make them stronger and more militant. And we have to grow this movement. So, if you are a non-union worker and you're not happy with your job, consider organizing, consider talking to your coworkers, reaching out to a union. It is definitely possible. It may not be easy, but it is worth it. And these workers here in Tennessee are proving, why it's worth it. Not just the immediate raises, but the security and dignity and respect that comes with having a union in the workplace.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.